So we're going to look at a review of positive and negative operations. As we get into graphing data and writing linear equations, you're going to see positive and negative numbers. And it's really important to remember how to plot positive and negative coordinate points, and also how to review the binary operations and knowing how to add and subtract, multiply, divide positive and negative numbers. These are really important skills. Again, think about the number line. That's probably your best tool when you're stuck on a test or a quiz. This is a skill that takes practice and a little bit of understanding in terms of the number line and how the number line is used on a coordinate grid. So when you're looking at positive numbers or negative numbers, if you have two positive numbers and you're adding them together, the answer is positive, right? We know this. If you have two negative numbers and you're adding them together, the answer is negative. This is the simplest rule that you're going to encounter. If we're adding and subtracting with different signs or with mixed signs, one of the best tools you can use is the number line. Another tool you can use is some of the rules that we've talked about in the past. So the first example here, 5 minus negative 2 minus 6 plus 8. When you have minus a negative number, what it's telling you is you're doing the opposite of that number. And if you remember, the opposite of a number is the same number on the other side of the zero, right? It's equidistant from zero. Opposite means equidistant from zero with different signs. So if it asks you to do the opposite of negative 2, what you're really doing is adding 2, right? The opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. So 5 plus 2 gives us 7. 7 minus 6, we know, is 1. 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. So you just want to make sure you're doing these step by step. Again, we have 10 minus 7 is 3. 3 and the opposite of negative 4. See how we have this double negative here? Again, that's adding because it's opposite of negative 4 is 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 minus 12. Now, this is the point where a number line would come in handy. If you're at positive 7 and you're subtracting 12, if we subtract 7, you get to 0. How many more are left to subtract a total of 12? Well, that's negative 5. The next example says negative 3, and the opposite of negative 5 tells us it's plus. Negative 3 plus 5. So to get from negative 3 to 0, you plus 3. What's left over? Plus 2. 2 and the opposite of negative 7 tells me it's positive 7. So 2 plus 7 is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15. Our last example, negative 16 minus 8. Now, we have two negatives here. So we're going to add them together, and it's going to be a negative number. Negative 16 minus 8 is negative 24. Negative 24 plus 9. Now, we're at a negative number, and we're adding, so we're moving back towards the 0. 9 spaces from negative 24. So we're going to be at negative 15. Negative 15 minus, or the opposite of negative 4 tells us it's a plus. So again, we're moving towards 0. Negative 15 plus 4 spaces towards the 0 gives us negative 11. And that is our answer. This is the tricky part. Combining the positives and negatives with addition and subtraction can get complicated. But the most important rule is the opposite of the negative number, right? The double negative. And also using your number line is going to be a huge helper, especially if you had a little bit of confusion following what I was saying, following the instructions that we just talked about through these problems, because you probably need to visualize it. You're one of those people that you need to see the number line, and that's fine. The more you practice, the more you won't need it. So keep working on these types of problems. We'll have a few in class tomorrow. So as we move on, multiplying and dividing integers. This is, I would say this is one of the simplest pieces of positive and negative numbers, because if you know the rule, you're not going to mess it up. So the two rules are here, or the two sets of rules. These are the rules for multiplication. These are the rules for division, right? And we have a few examples on the bottom. Basically, if you have the same sign, what I mean by the same sign, if you have a positive and a positive, or a negative and a negative, your answer is always positive. If you have a different sign, so a positive and a negative combined together, your answer is always negative. That's how this breaks down. So if you can remember that, that's what's going to help you. The rule is the same for multiplication and division. I just gave it to you in two sets so that you could see that and compare that they are the same. Couple examples of multiplication. Negative 2 times 3, negative 6 times 4, negative 24. Negative 1 times negative 5, well, 1 times 5 is 5. They're both negative, so it's a positive answer. 5 times 6, 30. 7 times negative 2. Different signs, so my answer is going to be negative 14. Negative 14 times 3. Different signs again. My answer is going to be 42. Negative 42. Okay? The next set, we'll do a couple of the division. Negative 50 divided by 10. 50 divided by 10 is 5. They have different signs, so my answer is negative. Negative 6 divided by negative 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. They both are negative, so they have the same sign. That means my answer is positive. Lastly, 15 divided by negative 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Different signs, so the answer is negative. You can do the rest of these examples in your notes. I don't think they're very complicated. I just wanted you to see a quick review. Also, on a coordinate graph, just give yourself a quick axis in your notes, and remember that these are the signs of each coordinate. A lot of you messed this up on the last quiz, so you want to make sure you have this down, okay? This is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4, and your coordinate points always go x, comma, y. So make sure you know which one's positive and which one's negative.